Hello and welcome. My name is Andrea and I'm very happy that you joined me. In this video, I've taken a request from a colleague of mine. I will be demoing how to get started with the Power Platform. I'll give you a high-level overview of each component to get you started on your journey. Feel free to put your requests in the comments section of this video and subscribe to my channel to see if your request was chosen. Connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter to get the latest updates, and let's get started. A high-level Microsoft Power Platform overview. There are 4 components: Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. Power BI lets you visualize your data. You are able to bring your data from unrelated sources into Power BI Desktop or Power BI Service, and it allows you to create beautiful charts and graphs and visuals that will bring your data to life. The Power Apps side of the Power Platform includes Canvas apps, model-driven apps, portals, Dataverse, and AI Builder. Canvas apps allows you to be a little bit more creative with how you design the Canvas app. You're able to bring different sorts of data in here from different connections. Model-driven apps really focuses on that Dataverse data. You're able to bring in views and forms, and you're able to create a navigation that'll easily demonstrate all of your data. The performance on model-driven apps is really amazing. Portals allows you to bring external sources into the portal. This is the only application that allows you to do that external authentication. You're able to bring in forms, views, and customize it to your liking. Dataverse is the database for Power Apps. This is where you'll be able to create your tables, your columns, your flows, anything that has to do with your data, you'll be able to do that in Dataverse. An AI Builder is artificial intelligence, so you'll be able to, for example, scan a business card and it'll be able to read that and bring it into an app. Power Automate, this will automate all of your processes. The biggest one that I use is to automate email notifications. So you'll be able to create a trigger within Power Automate with an action, and an email would be sent to any recipient that you would like. This automates really any processes that you might have for your business. And last but not least, Power Virtual Agents, also known as PVAs. These are chatbots for your applications. You'll be able to talk with customers using your chatbot that you create for any of the applications. This is awesome. The UI is very similar to Power Automate and honestly brings your app to life. Let's dive a little bit deeper into each of these. Starting with Power BI. Power BI lets you bring your data to life from unrelated sources. It lets you easily connect your data sources, visualize and discover what's important, and share that with anyone and everyone that you want. There are several elements that Power BI consists of. The Power BI desktop that you can download to your PC or laptop. And this consists of everything that you could ever want to customize your Power BI. There's also a SaaS service, Power BI service, that lets you use the same functionality, but I think not as much in your actual browser. And then there's the Power BI mobile app, so you'll be able to take your workbooks into your mobile app and be able to visualize your data there. I created a quick Power BI workbook from a simple Excel sheet, and I imported that into the Power BI service in my browser. I'm going to show you how I did that in a quick demo. So here is the quick Excel sheet that I created for our test demo. This is student data with dummy data here that I've added. Basically, I am capturing all of the tests for Q1. There are 3 tests for Q1 and 3 tests for Q2. So I will bring this data to life within the Power BI service. I would recommend downloading the Power BI desktop to get you started instead of going to the service, but for demo purposes, I'm going to use the browser option. So you're going to navigate to app.powerappbi.com. You'll sign in with your credentials and you'll be taken to a screen that looks something like this. They give you great recommendations on how to get started with Power BI here, but if you want to go ahead and just download some data that you have, you can select a new report up here. I'm going to select the paste or manually enter data, and I'll go ahead and take my data from here and just paste it into here. Within this pop-up here, you can change the data type directly on here. So if I wanted to change this from a character field to a decimal field or a whole number, I could do that right here. I'll just change that. The rest of them should be left as is, but for example, if you did have a date, they have, a date. If you want a date and time, you can add that as well. I'll go ahead and leave this as is. I'll select use first row as header, and I'll give my table a name. You can create your report from blank, or you can select the auto create report, which is what I'm going to do for time purposes. So selecting that option will bring my data to life right away. It will put everything into a bar chart. So if I actually want to change these to a different kind of chart, all I have to do is select this little personalize, this visual icon up here, and select the visual type. I want to make this a pie chart. So as you can see here, my Q1 test by Q1 test 2 is now a pie chart. Very nice visual. If I want to change this, I can do that as well. Maybe I want to have a funnel for that one, and maybe this tree map for the other one. And you can change how this data is shown as well. So if you want to see maybe Q1 test 1 by a different test, you can also do that. And as you can see on the right hand corner, I have my table right here, student data. When you are importing data from your organization, you will most likely see more than one table here displayed. And you can select different ones to be displayed, and you can export this file. Let's say that we have completed our visual and we've found a good stopping point, so we'll go ahead and save this and enter your report name. With this, you can actually start creating dashboards. So if you have more than one report, you can actually pin this to a dashboard, create a dashboard. So just give this simple name, go to your dashboard, and so to see multiple reports, you'll be able to see all of them here in your dashboard. It is great because you can actually ask a question about your data. So let's see if we can select number of student data. So there are 12 rows, and that's correct. We have that. You can just exit and go back to your dashboard. The next element is Power Apps. Power Apps consist of Canvas apps, model-driven apps, and portals and Dataverse. The visuals that you see up here at the top on the left is a depiction of what Dataverse looks like with your tables, your apps, your chatbots, and your cloud flows on the left. And on the right, you have Canvas apps. So this is what the dev portal looks like for Canvas apps, where you can go in and edit everything. To go a little bit into Canvas apps, you basically have a blank canvas as a developer to do as you please with your application. As you can see here on the right hand side, you have the feedback app where you can add a top bar with any color that you want. You can add forms, you can add views, you can add other fluid charts. You can customize the colors, the format, the font size, anything that you want inside of Canvas apps. Model-driven apps are more restrictive when it comes to customization. You basically want to use your model-driven apps if you have only Dataverse connections. So your Dataverse data will perform the best inside of model driven apps. You'll be able to bring your views and your forms to life. You can also add a business process flow that will help your users go through the process of your business case. You'll be able to navigate to different tables better. Usually you use a model-driven app for more of the admin or the tech support, where they can go in and customize the data without having to go into Dataverse. And Canvas apps would be used more for front-facing users, so employees or other front-facing users where they can see a more visually appealing application. Portals is mainly used if you have any external authentication users that need to use it, so an external application basically for your organization. It does very similar things as a Canvas app, but a Canvas app is mostly used for internal use, whereas Portals is used for external users. Dataverse is the database for Power Platform. This is where you'll be able to add your tables and your columns. You'll be able to add all of your flows. This is where all of your data will live. Let's do a quick demo on some of these so that you can see how it all works. So here for Power Apps, you'll want to navigate to make.powerapps.com. You'll be presented with this home screen once you've signed in and authenticated yourself. Since we already have sample data for students, we'll go ahead and start from the Excel. I've selected OneDrive for Business because I know that my student data lives inside of that OneDrive, so we'll select that. I've gotten this lovely error message that says there are actually no tables in my file, and I know that they are, so I'll click on this and see where it takes me. I guess I have to format my tables inside of Excel. So I will follow the directions here and go to Home, select my cells, go to the Home button, format as a table, select one of these, and there you go. Hopefully that does the trick. I'll save this. I will go back to see what the next step is. Looks like I have to add Excel as a data source. So just as a reminder, you can connect straight to your Excel sheet in Canvas apps without having to do this step, but I want to be able to copy the data over to my Dataverse so that I can have it in my database to use it for my model-driven app. So if I go back here and I go into Dataverse, I click on Connections and then select this one. Looks like I am connected, but I do need to make a connection to my Excel sheet. So I will go ahead and select that creation and make the connection. All right, I have added that to my connection list. All right, so we can go back to Home. This should work now. There it is. And I have my Canvas app. Looks like it's already created something for me here. So an out-of-the-box Canvas app with the data that I have. It looks like it's created a screen with a gallery list, a search icon with no formula, a detail screen. Awesome. So this is a great starter point for your Canvas app. This gallery list will display a list of all of your data. The detail screen is, everything that you want for the detail screen. Looks like this is a mobile app, but you can also select tablet. And like I mentioned before, you can customize this to your liking. So if you don't like the color of the rectangle at the top, you can go ahead and customize it just like that. If you want to change the position or maybe the border or the tooltip, you also have an advanced option here at the top that you can customize to your needs. Each screen has different information on it. Each of these buttons is pretty custom to what you might add to a Canvas app: the delete button, the edit button, the back button, and an edit screen, so you'll be able to edit the data right within your Canvas app. Let's see this app come to life. So I'll go ahead and click that play button, and I'll be able to interact with it this way. You can also interact with it by clicking the Alt key in the previous screen. So if I go back to the previous screen and click Alt, I'll also be able to interact with it that way, as you can see here. But I do want to interact with it in this play screen here. So if I go ahead and select this number 11, it'll take me to the details screen. If I want to edit it, I'll be able to select this edit button and change the ID of this specific thing. Looks like we don't have the student names, so we don't know what all of this is. We just have the student ID. So let's go ahead and make a quick change here so that our user can better understand what data they are looking at. So here we can go to Properties. You can select Edit for this table 1. And as you can see here, for this gallery list, the default was selected as the Q1. So we actually want to change that title. Instead of ID, we want to select student so that we know what the student is doing. And then maybe add the student ID as a subtitle for even better clarification as to what that is. And say we actually don't want this body at all because all of the tests are kind of the same in regards to the lettering. So let's see if we can remove this real quick. So to remove this, they've actually just added a label here inside of the gallery list. So you can just select this 3 dots here and click on delete. That way we only see the student name and the number 1. The search icon, I wonder if that works. Let's see. It is not set up. That's okay. There are various different functions that you can find online that are easy to find that you can customize this to your need. So this is a great representation of what a mobile Canvas app looks like. Let's dive into model-driven apps. So we'll go back to the main screen. And I want to emphasize that the very first thing that you want to do within the Maker portal is create a solution for your projects. This is where all of your apps, your Power Automate flows, everything will live inside here. This is where your tables will live, your columns will live. We want this solution to be created right off the bat so that it makes it easier for us to migrate the solution to a different environment, and we don't have to be spending time migrating all of the components within your Power App inside of your solution to be able to export it. So we'll go down to Solutions. We'll click New Solution. We'll just name it Student. I'm going to select the publisher that I created for this environment, and I'll select Create. Since we didn't save that Canvas app, we don't have that data from the Excel, so I'll show you another way to add data to your environment. You'll go to Data, Get Data, and then Get Data again. You'll select Excel Workbook. You can browse the OneDrive and find your workbook. Best practice is to create the table before this step and load it to an existing table. But since we don't have an existing table, we're not going to add it. We'll select next. And you can refresh it automatically, meaning that you can set up a time every day, every week for this data to be refreshed from the cloud, but we're going to refresh it manually. So we've touched on data flows in this little demo. As you can see, once I go into data flows, you'll be able to see my new dataset flow that is being published and in progress. So once this is completed, this will be switched over to a published status, and we'll be able to see our data inside of that new table. As you can see here, our data flow has been published, meaning our data has been migrated. We'll go over to our solution, select our new solution, add existing table. Now we'll be able to see our student table. We'll select next. And there is our student table. Let's see if all of the columns are migrated over correctly. I usually like to sort the type to see custom. And yes, all of our columns were migrated over correctly. So now we can start building our model-driven app. And before we start creating that model-driven app, we actually want to go into the views and the forms and start creating and customizing those to be able to bring them into the model-driven app for a more visually appealing experience. So let's start with the views. The views is what you are going to see that looks more like a table or a chart. And this will be a condensed list of things that the user will see that they will be able to click on to see a more detailed view in the form. So we'll start with the active student tables. We'll go ahead and update these views first. So by default, we have the name and created on. We can go ahead and remove this created on. And maybe add the ID, the student name. We'll remove that. We can move it just by dragging and dropping. We can adjust the width of the column by dragging and shifting like this, or shifting it back. We can sort a specific column by clicking on this drop down and say smaller to larger if we want to sort by smaller to larger ID. You can also filter by different filters using this edit filter. So if you want to filter by, for this one, it's filtering by status equals active, but say you want to filter by if Q1 test 1 is equal to A, you can do that and it will only display those students there. And in order to verify, we can actually bring the Q1 Q test here and see that these are the only ones that are displayed. You can remove the filter, you can sort by different things, you can add a description, but we want to keep it nice and simple, so we'll just keep the ID and the student in this view here. We'll publish it and then we'll go back and create a form. So we went back using the back button and now we are back at the student table. We'll click on forms and we want to edit this main form called information. So this is basically the details page of the view. So I usually remove this owner, but because it is a required field, it won't actually let you remove it. So I usually just hide it so the user can't see it. It usually is a little bit confusing for them. And say you want to add maybe like a 2-column tab, or maybe you want 2 sections here. You can go ahead and do that. Maybe you want a 2-column tab. As you can see here, it adds 2 sections. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this though. I do not want another tab and I do not want another section. And you can add all of your data here student name. I'll go ahead and put that at the top. This name field we do not need, so we can go ahead and hide it. And then I actually want to do 2 sections here. But it looks like it won't let me. I'll leave it as is. But as you can see here, you can actually add a Canvas app right into your model-driven app. You can add a subgrid, which is what I love to do. So if you have another table that has a relationship to the student table, you can add data that is related to this specific student within this form. But to keep it nice and simple, we'll just leave it as is here and we'll click publish. Next, you'll go back to your solution and you're going to want to create a new model-driven app. So you select add model-driven app, select the classic app designer, and select use existing solution. You'll notice that there are no sitemaps configured, so you'll want to configure the sitemap, which is the navigation. So you'll select the Open Sitemap Designer. The type is entity. Usually you want to give it a specific ID, but for demo purposes, we'll keep it as blank. If you want to give this title, and you want to save, publish, and then you'll have your sitemap. So we can go ahead and save now. Select publish, play, and as you can see here, this is your model-driven app. Super simple. You have your active student table view that we created. We added the ID and the student, and then if you double click that gray area, it'll take you to that form that we created with all of the data. So your student name and all of your tests here for that specific student, which is James. You'll be able to go back and select a different student and see their grades, their ID, and all of the details. So now we've gone over Canvas apps, model-driven apps, and Dataverse. Portals takes a really long time to configure, but I will show you how to get that started, and then you can go ahead and visit my other video on how to get started with portals to dive a little bit deeper into that. I'll link it here at the top. So you'll go back to your Maker portal, you'll go back, you'll go to apps, you're going to select new app, and you're going to select portal. And then you'll give your portal a name and you'll configure it. When you configure your portal, you'll be given a model-driven app that will be the admin portion of your portal and the actual portal. And a lot of solutions will be added to your solutions that go hand in hand with that portal. Next is Power Automate. Power Automate will allow you to automate your business processes. It will allow you to send automatic reminders for past due tasks. They will allow you to move business data between systems. You can connect to over 500 different data sources using Power Automate. And just think about the time that you will save automating those business processes that you might have to do on a repetitive daily basis. On the left is an example of the demo that we are going to go through in just a second. We are going to create a simple trigger for when a new record is added to the student table. When a new record is added to the student table for a new student, this will send an email to the teacher or the admin, or in this demo case, my demo environment's email. And you can actually add dynamic data right into the subject line or the body of the email. Let's create an email notification for when a new record is added to our database. So we'll go into our student solution, we'll click New, we'll click Automation, Cloud Flow, and Automated. We'll give it a name. Whenever a new student is added to the database, we will send an email. We'll select when a record is added, modified, or deleted. That is our trigger. We'll say when a record is added, only added, we'll select our student table and our organization. And then we'll send an email. And here is where you can add dynamic data. So we can add the new student's name, like this. You can add their ID. Here. And they will likely not have any test data, so we won't add that in here. Something very simple like this. We'll go ahead and save it. We'll add my demo email here, save it. And then we'll go ahead and test it. I am receiving this error here because my demo environment is not licensed to send emails. But basically what you'll need to do is click this test button, go back to your portal and either use the model-driven app that we created here to add a new student by clicking back to here, clicking new, and basically you'll just fill in this data. You'll click save. Save will keep you here on the page, and save and close will take you back to the list. And as you can see here, it's been added. And then when that gets added, that email will be sent. The next element is Power Virtual Agents. These are chatbots that answer customer questions. Creating a bot with Power Virtual Agents is easy to do with the no-code authoring canvas. There are a number of ways you can manage how topics interact, how you want conversations to flow, and what it should feel like. Here at the top is an example of the demo that we are about to go over. This topic includes student info and specifically how many students are in this class. So the trigger phases that I've added are student count and how many students. Here you can see that when the customer asks the question in the chat, the chatbot will respond with the number 12. In the solution that we've created for student, we'll go to new, we'll select chatbot, and this will open the Power Virtual Agents web browser to create our chatbot. You can start your free trial like I have to do, or you might already have access to the chatbots. You'll name your bot. This will be a way for customers to get information about their students, so teachers to get information about their students. It does take a little bit of time for your bot to be configured, so you can either explore the bot or explore the docs. We're going to explore the bot. So after it has been created and you get the little green ribbon at the top, you'll go to topics. You'll select new topic. And as you can see, the UI is very similar to what you saw in Power Automate. So you have a trigger phrase and a message. So we want to create a topic for if admin asks how many students are in the class. and you can add as many phrases as you want for the chatbot to accept this question. I'll add 2 for demo purposes. So for now, we'll just add the actual count on there. And then we'll go ahead and save. And we'll test it out. And there you have it. Our chatbot works as expected. Next is AI Builder. AI Builder allows you to create an AI model without really knowing much about artificial intelligence. AI Builder guides you through each step of the way. Make sure that your admin has enabled AI Builder for your environment, otherwise you won't have access to any of the functionality. You'll be able to use the data from Dataverse to build and train your AI model. As you can see on the left side of the screen, you have many pre-built AI models that you can use right out of the box. AI Builder will walk you through each step of the way to build, train, manage, publish, and use your AI. Thank you so much for watching. Your next step is to get more hands-on experience. I have included the link to Microsoft's App in a Day in the description. I hope this video gave you some insight of what the Power Platform has to offer. Don't be afraid to start building with it. Bye, everyone.